Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Five-1 Speedway Show. Hopefully you've managed to catch all the episodes up to this one, because tonight is going to be another good, interesting episode. We had this guy's best friend on the other week on the show. He's friends with the two-time US World Champion Bruce Penhall. He's also been a World Champion at pairs himself, amongst other numerous achievements in his career so far. Please welcome to the show, Dennis Sigalos.
Hey Neil, how's it going, man?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. How's things with you?
It's okay. We're struggling right along and staying healthy, and it's a beautiful day out today. I think it's about 70 degrees and sunny. So, it's a Sunday, and Super Bowl's coming up in a few hours. So I'm set for the day to have a couple cocktails and some hot dogs or something.
Sounds like a fun day. It's better than being here. It's bloody freezing cold. It's like -2 here. So, it's kind of the opposite.
I remember that. Sure. Winter time, 70 degrees. So we'll take it at this point.
Yeah, so would I. I would happily trade places.
Yeah, no thanks.
No, worth a shot.
Yeah.
But so how was your pandemic year been? Has it been good? Have you been badly affected by it at all?
Not really. I've been one of the fortunate ones, and have been a worker, if you will. I'm able to, stay on board in the vending business and what have you, an essential worker. So haven't been furloughed or let off or anything like that. So, and we're all staying healthy around the house. Deb and Avalon and Arden and my dad and his wife. So we do see each other occasionally, but always putting in the protocol for being distance or wearing masks and what have you. And I think that's the least we can do as far as trying to stay healthy. The sooner we all kind of get the vaccine and keep on wearing the mask, the sooner we'll be able to get back to normality, which we're all dying to have, man. We need to get outside and, do things and hang out with people. It's kind of good for the soul. But, we are kind of staying home, and we just got our pool redone. So we're looking forward to summertime when everything settles back in. And but been pretty lucky, and been staying safe and healthy, and work's going okay.
That's good to hear, because obviously you've got the essentials sorted out, the pool's all done, ready for the summer, and a big party.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We had a little break last night of the cabana and the fire pit and the brand new pool. So I had my daughter and her boyfriend and my son, when he got home from work, we sat around the fire pit and had a little barbecue and had some cocktails. And it was really nice. A little chilly last night, but it was real clear and it was pleasant, especially around the fire. So it was just good with, some family.
Yeah, that's all it comes down to nowadays, especially in this sort of like new world we're going to be living in. If you've got yourself a family bubble, it's going to make your life a lot easier. Obviously, I don't know what it's like with things like shopping. Are you able to go out and shop or things like that, or things closed down?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We go out and shop, and I don't do a lot of it. Deb does all that, but usually on Saturday or Sunday morning, I'll run down and get a pack of bacon. And I got my little Honda 90 little alley find and got it all fixed up. So I throw my shopping bag over my shoulder and I go for a little ride. It's only about a half a mile away, but still get the breeze in my hair and get a little two-wheel riding in. Haven't been out motocross riding with my son Arden for a while. I fell down, I don't know, maybe a month and a half ago, got off, overshot the double and ended up going over the berm and falling on my shoulder and head. And I'm telling you what, the ground doesn't get any softer with age. Still kind of licking my, but I think next weekend we're probably going to go out at least to the desert, or maybe we go out to Paula or something like that. And I'll just ride the vet track, but still got to get out there and stretch my legs a little bit.
Yeah, just get some two-wheeled fun in between your legs, and just go out and having some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to keep active, otherwise you seize up. Sit on the couch too long, you seize up, and you don't want to do it.
Yeah, no, you just sit around doing nothing. TV's great, but it's not like going out there and riding your bike every day, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll get through it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, obviously. Do you manage to meet up with any other sort of like your fellow American ex-teammates, sort of like, and go riding?
Well, no, not really. Well, actually, I saw Robert Fetzing maybe a couple months ago out at Kauai, at the motocross track out there. We kind of did the messaging or whatever. He goes out there and rides quite a bit. Me and my son were going out that day, so we got to meet up and ride a little bit. So that was cool to see him. When we go to BP's place out in the desert, he'll get in the side by side. Maybe I'll ride the motorcycle, or we'll both go on the side by side, whatever. But really haven't done much of that with anyone for at least a year since the pandemic has hit us. So I do see Bruce still quite a bit, and Kevin, my old mechanic. So those are kind of my go-to buddies at this point. And I know that they're not far away, and they're all good as well, and healthy, and so their families. So feel completely comfortable.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And obviously, like I say, this whole pandemic year has turned everything on its head. You know, you can't see anybody, you can't do anything, can't do this, can't do that, apart from just probably go crazy. But fortunately for you guys, you're managing to do things, which is awesome to hear.
Yeah, we do our best to kind of get out there and get around and do something anyways, stay moving.
Oh yeah, stay moving, stay active, keep the mind active, things like that. It's stuff like that that keeps you going.
Yeah, absolutely. I can only work so much around the backyard and around the house and what have you, doing all the honey-dos, and that kind of gets old after a year long. Well, we got a lot accomplished.
That's good. All those jobs you put off for years are all done.
Yeah, got it. But the list, it doesn't get any shorter. That's the problem. And there's not an end in sight at this point.
No. So you're hoping for everything to come back to some sort of normality, so you can just get out and then just forget those jobs and do them again another day.
Put all that stuff on the back burner again and go riding.
Oh yeah, the priorities are obviously important.
Yeah, you bet. Bet.
I can imagine your garden looks the best it's ever looked before.
Well, yeah, kind of. Yeah, now that we've got the construction aspect of the pool all done, that was kind of all chewed up. So yesterday was a full work day, cleaning the backyard and hosing everything down and vacuuming and sweeping the pool and vacuuming the pool, and but it kept me busy for a full day anyway. Then a little part to pop off the deal.
Awesome. Great. Great to hear. But obviously the reason I've got you on the show tonight is to obviously talk about your long and lustrous, far be it cut short, Speedway career, and everything. But obviously everyone knows that you and Bruce are like that, like cross fingers sort of thing, good buddies and everything. How did you sort of manage to get Bruce and yourself into riding Speedway?
Well, actually, it's kind of a funny story that we were doing some when we used to live up in Fullerton, up in the hills up there, and my dad and mom are building a new house up there, and there was this contractor. He was a German guy, had a younger son. He had a little Honda Mini Trail 50, and he was doing some work, and he saw that we had, bikes in the garage. And so he says, "Hey, you got to come to Orange County Fairgrounds and see this motorcycle racing." So we're like, "Well, yeah, cool. That sounds good." And we went there with him one night on a Friday night, and, saw Woods and Nutter and Cody and Becker and, and it was, we were hooked immediately. So that's where it started. And I probably was, maybe 11 years old or something like that. I would think maybe 12. And so that's where it started. And then, after watching the races, then of course you get into the bicycles, and you fix your bicycle up and you cut the handlebars off and you bend them down. So you go more like Speedway bars, and, throw sand down in the garage or in the driveway and start sliding sideways. And then you start having different races with all the neighborhood kids. And so that's kind of where it started. And then, after, branching out on the bicycles, and then, we were riding mini bikes, Saddleback Park, and then started riding motocross and a little bit here and there. I mean, I like to ride, but I knew I was never going to be a champion at motocross anyways. And the Speedway was it felt just like so cool, sliding sideways. Just, that's me, man. I got to do this. So, and actually our Bruce's dad and my dad, they sponsored Rick Woods one year. And so that's kind of where it started. And, we got to, say, hey, we're, sponsoring this guy. And now we're, really kind of getting into it. And we both had junior Speedway bikes that Ed Schaefer built, and it had McCullough 101 chainsaw engines in. And they were, before junior Speedway bikes even came out. I mean, I think Sean and Kelly Moran had little Indians, and Sean McConnell was on a little Yamaha of some sort. And, they're riding Speedway tracks, but nothing, to wear the skid shoe and to break the back tire loose and get sideways and kind of get that pendulum effect so that was really cool. We used to go to Saddleback, and then my dad and Bruce's dad, Leroy, we built a track next to my dad's company, Orange County Food Service in Anaheim. We had some spare property. We did a full-blown track, man. We put decomposed granite. We had walls. We had a water truck. My dad used one of our old catering truck chassis, and Leroy had a old water tank from Penalt Company. And we made a watering truck out of that. And we got some starting tapes made from George Wynn, and the same kind that were at Costa Mesa. And we had a generator. So, we were all set down there. And we used to just rip that track up, practice a lot. Whenever we wanted, we could go down there. And then there was a couple dirt fields that we used to ride in prior. There again, Leroy brought down one of the tractors from Penalt Company, and we just kind of graded a small track out in the middle of a field and rode that until the cops came and told us, well, you really can't do that, but yeah, that's kind of where it all started. And then sponsoring Rick Woods, and then, for the year, and then we got to keep the bike afterwards. And that was Bruce's first bike, actually. He's a couple years older than me. He looks it too. But no, he started riding. I wasn't old enough to ride at Costa Mesa. I didn't have the AMA license and what have you. So I rode. I ended up getting me a two-valve Jawa and practice on that, and then started racing Orange County International Raceway. It was about a half hour from our house, and it was kind of the outlaw track.
Oh, okay.
Where the good guys didn't race because they were in the AMA. They were riding, Costa Mesa and Guild and Ventura and such. And I think I rode there. Well, I rode there till I was about 16. And my first year, I was 13 years old and riding there on my 2-valve, and it was bitching. I mean, it's crazy how big it was compared to what I was, and using the stock handlebars of Rick Woods bend. I mean, I could barely even stretch my arm out far enough to grab a hold of both handlebars or both handle grips, but yeah, kind of worked my way through and up. And then when I was old enough to race Costa Mesa, I think they let me slide by one night. On my birthday was on a Saturday instead. And so they let me go so I could race on a Friday night. And that had to be cleared through Frida Wynn and, Harry Oxley. Well, Frida was like the pit police, but great lady, her and George both. I mean, they were Costa Mesa. I mean, you needed to know George and Frida, but yeah, it was all good. It was all good. Started out in Division III and lasted a week or two, and then kind of stepped up to second division, and then went on to first. And, learned how to ride, and we were still practicing all at the same time. But, it was really cool to be able to do that at a young age, and to be able to eventually move into it as a career, for a few years anyways. I don't know. I probably raced 5 years over here professionally kind of thing. And then went to Europe, and, that was my passion to get over there. So I was really, really happy to get the call to go start racing for Hull. It was a life changer, but so worth it. So worth it when you look back on everything, the racing and the people that I still stay in touch with, and the people I lived with. And yeah, it was really cool. What an opportunity.
Yeah, and I mean, well, that's just blown me away with what you've just said more than anything. It's cool. It's cool to hear it all because when you said you got like a little mini practice track, it sounds like you got like a mini stadium. All you're missing was a few floodlights, and you're well away.
It was, yeah, it totally was, and one of the so that's kind of the brief startup of the Speedway life.
Yeah, it's great to hear because I love hearing all how everyone gets started really. Because how I started in racing was that I went through the Eastbourne junior track, through all that, and then onto the second halves at Eastbourne and stuff like that to ride in my own career. So, which also is a place which I know that you've ridden is the Eastbourne junior track. Because I've seen photos of you riding around with Paul and Martin Dugard and things like that.
Yeah. I remember racing one night we were down there. It was always great and fun to go to Eastbourne. It was during the day and more sunny days down there, especially at the time we were riding. And so it was nice to get down there, kind of the beach atmosphere and ride. It was a great track. It was a great track. And I remember even riding a junior speedway bike there one day. You look back on these Facebook photos that I posted, what have you. I'm like, yeah, I remember that. No kidding. I can't remember who the young man was I was riding with, but really enjoyed the day. Yeah,
and I mean, it was rare to see sort of top class riders like yourself, Eric, or whoever to come down and sort of ride. I mean, I've seen the photos of it, it's like say on Facebook and things like that and stuff like that. But it's just kind of cool to see. I just wish I had that sort of thing when I was sort of riding on it because that would have been awesome to have.
Yeah, you bet. It all helps. It all helps, and for the most part, the riders are pretty friendly. I mean, I love hanging out with supporters and, have fun with the kids. And, you can't do it all the time because you got to hurry up and get home or what have you. But, every chance that we could, you kind of hang around, talk to people, sign some autographs and, just talk about things. And, that's how you get to be good friends with a lot of people. And I'm grateful for that. And I'm still friends with a lot of people, and the technology, the Facebooks and all that, it really helped with that. I'm like, oh man, so cool. When Facebook first came out, I can now talk to, Darren and John and Cookie up north and, get to see some old buddies, face to face on the old interweb there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. And then you meet new young guys like myself who wants to talk to you about your racing career. You think get all that as well.
Right. Yeah, for sure. No, it's all good. All good for sure. I'm trying to punch this thing in. Oh shit! Can you see all right?
Yeah, I can see fine. I can see you fine. You're all good. All good. I'll let you know if I couldn't see you.
Yeah. All right. I'm just sitting in my little stool here. I got the phone propped up against my vise, so I'm truly in the shop.
Yeah, that's good to see. It's good to see. But obviously, you had a good time in America before you came over to Europe and things like that. What are your sort of memories then of your sort of early days in riding at Costa Mesa, San Bernardino, Bakersfield, places like that?
Well, it's really, really good time. We were riding 5 nights a week, and at the time I was still in high school. So, right after school, take off and go to the races. So we raced and went Tuesday night up in Ventura. So I used to have to have Kevin, my best buddy and mechanic, through all the Speedway career and all the boat racing career. And, Kevin's he's like my brother from another, And so he used to pick me up in my van and pick me up at Metal Shop. And we'd haul buns out of there on a Tuesday, a little bit early, have to, kind of leave school early, ditch a little bit, get out of there. So Ventura, but Ventura was Tuesday. Wednesday was, which was an awesome track. Always had some good dirt on it. And Spike was prepping the track. And then so that was Wednesday night. Thursday night was Irwindale, another awesome track there again, a little bit larger. And then Friday night was Costa Mesa, and then which was a little teacup. And I love Costa Mesa, but I couldn't seem to do real well there consistently. I like to be on the outside, and you can't ride the outside all the time at Costa Mesa. You got to be right along the inside, right along the blue groove. Don't get off of it, and but I had some good events there, but never. I was close to winning the Nationals one night, but me and Alan Christian got tangled up somehow, and they excluded me. So that was it. But and then Saturday night was Bakersfield, and that was always like the weekend ender, and you go up there and race, and then you go to the river afterwards, about maybe 15-minute drive, and hang out there and yip it up a little bit, and then jump back in the van, and used to get home about maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that, 3. And then, you got Sunday to kind of recoup and wash the bikes and get everything ready to go again. But all good times. I mean, I raced all through my high school years and even my junior high years. But a little bit different, packing up and going to Europe. That was huge to pack up and go there. But the Southern California racing really made me blossom and really know that I really wanted to do this, and I really enjoyed doing it. The speed and the fans and friends. It was really a bitchin' experience.
Yeah, I can imagine. Of course, having packed houses of crowds and everything near enough every night, and things like that. And the atmosphere must have been absolutely electric, And of course, if you won one race or you won the events, it must have been awesome to have that sort of crowd around you.
Yeah, it was great. And we always had 2 different sorts of racing. We had a scratch meeting and a handicap meeting. So the scratch, we were all 4 riders on the tapes, like we know to be true these days, but we also had handicap racing, and the better you got, the further back you started. And at some point, some of the top guys were starting pretty much halfway around the 4th turn, and the tapes go up and you go, and I think it was really exciting, because if you wanted to do good, you had to pass everyone. So it made it exciting to charge up from the back and to win races. And, a really good night was to win the scratch main and win the handicap main, and even get more money for starting further back, as far as good guys did. So each yard, 10 yards, you got pushed back. So it was better for your pocket.
You always think about the pocket. Always think about the pocket.
Yeah, exactly. So it made it worthwhile to really, get going. And that's where the outside really kind of came in handy. So you can charge around the outside, or in fact, you come up the inside, try to move them off the line. Schwartzy was really good at that. And Christian, Mike Bass, another, hero, another huge name in Speedway. Of course, BP. I didn't race that much with Bruce around here because, like you said, he was a couple years older. He went off to Europe, but did race, quite a bit with everyone. And then we had a team racing here for 1 year too, which was pretty cool. It didn't take off like it did in Europe and England. For whatever reason, it just didn't. But still, it was fun having a team to race on, and I was included in the San Bernardino team with Fischbeck, Mark Cherry, and Ronnie Preston, and Larry Costa, and Dean Foreman. So good bunch of guys, and getting to go to each of the different tracks and race against the other teams was pretty cool. And kind of got introduced to that because that's the way it was in British League. When we first went, we had a bit of knowledge of how the team experience worked.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't touch on this with Bruce when I interviewed him, but the team racing was a thing that it was a trial and error sort of thing. I think it was because obviously there was only a few sort of tracks around and things like that. But it must have been, like I say, it was a good experience. It prepped like young guys like yourself and a few others to get ready for that step, so you knew what to kind of expect. Apart from obviously the great British weather, it's the only thing you didn't know about too much. But other than that, it must have been again a good experience to be able to say that you were in a team event.
Yeah, totally. And I think I was riding with kind of number 2 to Jim Fischbeck. I loved riding with Jimmy because he was, they called him the animal. He'd move people out of the way, and I kind of felt like he was protecting me. He could move people out of the way, and then I'd come in underneath them or whatever, and we'd switch around. But just to ride with the animal was really big. Felt a bit safer, but if Speedway can be safe, there's always that chance when you can get off, and we all hit the ground plenty of times.
Exactly, because that would have helped you in good stead. Obviously, when you came over to England and you rode for your clubs and you managed to team ride and things like that. But then to have someone as crazy as Jimmy Fischbeck on your inside or your outside, it's better to be on his team than be against him, I guess.
You got that right. And what a man he is, man, for sure. I do see him every once in a while at the off road. Well, it's been several years, but him and his son were racing some off road cars for quite a while, and we'd see him at the track when my son was younger, and we were going and doing that. Now we're kind of too old to, and a lot of stuff going on. So, but yeah, good guy for sure.
Yeah, good guy. I mean, again, it's a few names that I know because I collect programs and memorabilia and things like that. I've got a few American programs from the late 70s, early 80s and things like that with yourself in it. And let's say BP when he came back, Kelly, Sean, all those names in there. So they all ring a bell to me and things like that. So, you could talk about that sort of thing. It's like, I know the name, but I couldn't put a face to it, but I know the name.
Right. Sure. Yeah. Well, we had a good crew, good bunch of guys still to this day, coming over to Europe and kind of setting the standard and setting the pace for us all. But going back in my era, it was Autry and Caruso and those people, and then Bruce and Bobby that went over. And, I mean, Autry was probably the guy that I most remember as far as an American going over and trying to become someone over in the British League and over in Europe, which he did. Like he was like our father, if you will. He's only a couple few years older or what have you, but he just lives down the street from me, and I don't see near enough of him only on Facebook. He just lives down just at the border of Huntington and Newport Beach down there, maybe 5 minutes from my house. The same with Boogaloo. He lives about 5 or 10 minutes into Costa Mesa, but I don't know what it is. We just don't see enough of each other. That's life, but I always think.
Yeah. I mean, that's just life. Your paths don't cross anymore for whatever reason. But no, I mean, Boogaloo's one of the people I'm hoping to get on the show one day because I like to hear his stories and things like that as well.
He has a ton of them. And he, like you say, an elephant never forgets anything. I mean, that's Boogaloo, man. Go by occasionally and he just comes off with stuff out of the blue. It's like, man, how do you remember that stuff, Bobby? I don't know, man. I don't know what it is, but he definitely has a whole sack full.
Well, that'll be a long episode if I ever do get the chance to have him on the show.
Yeah.
But going back to obviously your career and everything, how did you get the call to go to Hull then? Was it someone that BP recommended you to promoters, or was it a case of you just had a phone call out of the blue?
Well, I can't really remember, but I do remember we went to Kevin and I went to Aussie, and we stayed. We raced there for one. It was like my first experience of getting out of Southern California to go racing somewhere else. So we packed a motorcycle up in a big crate, big chest, and sent it freight over there. I can't even recall how I got hooked up with the. To be able to go over there and ride, but I stayed with Dave Mills, Dave and Gail and the kids. And I know that Dave rode for Hull. So I don't know if he had mentioned something because when I got back from Aussie, I got the call and had an offer. And I do recall even conversing with Ole Olsen. Also, it was kind of between Hull and Coventry, and they're both, Ivan and Ollie are just, the name that everyone knows and will never be forgotten. And, heroes and legends of the sport. And I had the chance to go to Hull, and what really put me over the edge for riding for Hull was Ivan. And I can recall him, and I think they call it US versus the World. And I didn't ride in it or anything, but I watched Ivan race at Costa Mesa, and I just couldn't believe, how good this man was. And so to get the opportunity, that was a selling point. I want to ride for Ivan for sure. And I did ride number 3 to him. So I always rode with him the first year. So I learned a lot from Ivan. And, a lot of guys and I'm sure Ivan didn't let all of the tricks of the trade out. And I felt the wrath after I started getting a little better and maybe beating Ivan every once in a while. The wrath of, okay, now you're a rider. Now I can, I make it a little harder for you to try to pass me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The foot peg in the fence every once in a while, and like, whoa, shit moments and that sort of thing. But all the utmost respect for that man. And he did teach me a lot. And Kevin and I went up to his house quite often, him and Nori. And, oh man, I can't remember the older gentleman's name that was his mechanic, but how to adjust clutches. Mm-hmm. And that's what I started out with the 3-spring clutches. And I was riding a Jawa, and he was very knowledgeable and, helpful on, how to dig a trench at the start line, or, where to ride, or watch this guy or that guy. And cause he was a teammate. Mm. And so I just try to follow his lead. And so that was the number one reason why I chose Hull versus Coventry. No disrespect to any of them, but it was a great place to start. And the people lived with Veronica Chapman and her family down in Easington, which was at the end of the world in Hull. I mean, at the North Sea, you couldn't get any further away from everything. And, not knowing, but it was a brilliant opportunity to stay there. And Veronica was like our mom away from home, totally, for sure. And to take us in and let a couple of crazy Americans, and Kelly was there as well. So that was another point, already American on the team. Mm-hmm. And, Kelly and Deb and myself lived with Veronica. And, living with Kelly, wow. Was Kelly will always be Kelly and never be forgotten as Kelly. What a talent, and a fun guy to be around. And yeah, we lived together for a year or so, and lived in the same pretty much town for the second year, and then got traded up to Ipswich, which was really my home. Nothing wrong with Wolverhampton. And it was a bit of a shocker to me to be traded there, but I get it. I understand what was going on and what promoters have to do, but I loved Ipswich. They're again close to the beach, Felixstowe. We spent a lot of time down there, and Cookie and I skateboarding and down there riding ATCs and buying old junkers and go ripping through the dirt fields, and had a nice little bungalow there. I had my garage, and so we did all the work out of there, and even had a garage down the street, a guy named John Booth, heavily involved in Speedway at Ipswich. And we started out having our workshop down there. And it was only about maybe a half a mile from where I bought my first house. Mm. But John really took good care of us, and still talk to him to this day too. My wife does more than anything, but what a great guy. And Ipswich was a lot of fun, and Billy Sanders was there, Big Daddies, and it was like a kind of a California away from California, if you will. Mm. But really a cool place.
Yeah, it must have been, because again, I said that you have I had Jeremy Doncaster on the show previous, and he said, because obviously he basically started when you were at Ipswich in about 81, 82 sort of time, and he said that basically you guys lived on one street near enough, and you guys went out, you say you went skateboard and you did everything together, and obviously with Jeremy doing the grass track as well and things like that, you said that you guys had the utmost respect for him doing two disciplines, of the sport, and things like that. So it must have been a great team atmosphere to have literally, like I say, everybody on one street, everyone having a good time.
Yeah, totally, for sure. Absolutely. That's for sure. And Jeremy, what another character, and a hell of a talent. And to have, to do two different disciplines and do it well. Mm. I raced a little long track, didn't get heavily into it. And then probably more so when I was, later on in my career, but then I got hurt and that all kind of went away. But I did a couple events. I remember a qualifying round in Czechoslovakia And I managed to, transfer to the next round. And then I think I got hurt or something and able to continue with that. But yeah, my career kind of came to an abrupt end, unfortunately with my injury. But back to Jeremy, just what a great guy, and his family. I remember seeing pheasants hanging up. His dad would go out in the backfield and shoot a couple pheasants, and he was there hanging up outside. Jeremy, what are these things sitting outside for? I've never seen anything like that. Usually when you harvest them and you clean them, pluck them or whatever, put them in the fridge. He says, no, you let them hang out there till maggots start dripping off them. And that tenderizes the meat. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? He's like, yeah, that's how you do. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. So I never got to shoot one over there, but I sure tried for a whole day with a bow and arrow and tall cornfields that I was, doing the army crawl through to chase these darn pheasants around all day long. And Kevin, my mechanic's like, what the hell are you doing, man? We got these bikes to rebuild and you got shit to do, your leathers to watch, and you're out here messing around and chasing these pheasants around all day long. Yeah, I need to do it. Needed to do it. Saw Jeremy's old man have him hanging up there, and I wanted to join.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, someone does that sort of thing. You said you've got to have a go, but then again, you don't argue with the man with the gun either. Don't get on the wrong side of him.
Yeah, exactly. Well, see, that's why they didn't give me a gun. They let me have a bow and arrow, though.
Yeah, he didn't quite trust you just yet.
No, no, no kidding. But yeah, what a place. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and really enjoyed my time there. Absolutely.
Yeah, but just before I talk a bit more in depth about Ipswich, but obviously you say you had two seasons with Hull and everything. What are your sort of memories of actually riding like the Boulevard? Because I know the Boulevard from the YouTube videos and the DVDs I have was a long, narrow sort of track. It's not really the sort of place you would expect yourself or Kelly or even future like John Cook to go. Sort of you expect to sort of go somewhere like they say, either in Ipswich or a pool or somewhere like that where it's near the beach.
Well, you want to get the worst out of the way first.
whatever you want to say.
You're exactly right. Long, rough, narrow, black, dark dirt that would just dirty your bike up real good, and your leathers, stain it. The pits weren't the best, and even the visitor side was even worse. And Ian and Brian Larner made that so. When people, from the visiting team will come down, they're like, shit, man. I mean, already just gets in their head. We got an old muddy old pit area here, and the home team is kind of high and dry or what have you. But to learn there, and there again with Ivan, longer track, I've haven't really seen anything like it, and just a whole different style of riding and tuning your bike up. And I started with Jawa, and then ended up going to with Westlake, and I found they were a lot better for me for whatever reason. People move around and switch things. I know Ivan was huge on the Jawas. He was sponsored by Jawa, so he's got to do what he has to do. But it was interesting. And had some good nights there, and got beat by some good people there. I learned a lot from Ivan, but I think riding there probably really climatized me for the things to come. I went to other tracks. It was like, wow, this is a lot easier. Oh my God, look at these guys. Their lights are bright and the pit's clean and what have you. But yeah, what a hell of a place to start, with Ivan Kelly and Drury and Frank Offred, Bobby Beaton. Hell of a team. Joe Owen, Joe Berger. Hell of a team. They had a hell of a run. And, if I had to do all over again, I'd probably do it exactly the same.
Yeah, I can imagine it's sort of like, instead of having like the luxuries, maybe you started off with something really, really bad and basic sort of thing. And then obviously as you went along, you got better and better, and sort of like learned more probably from that way. And I guess, like I said, having Ivan in the pits, and stuff like that. Probably, were you parked next to Ivan then for that whole time you were at Hull? Yeah,
absolutely. So, always taking a peek over there and looking what he's doing, and Kevin would be eyeballing and what have you. But yeah, and one of the other things that, I met it in something different, is lived in a different area. Now, the first year going over there, living with Veronica and her family was absolutely unbelievable. But there again, it was at the end of the world. And no one really lived down that way. You needed to get, which I did, eventually moved into Leeds, which was a little bit closer to, the general area, not near enough the Midlands, which that was the place to go. So many tracks there, and, you can kind of get to everywhere you needed to go quicker and easier. But for a first place to start, when Deb and I landed at Heathrow, and I'm like, wow, what the heck? It's pissing down rain. It's freezing cold. I think when Ian picked us up in his car, we drove, he lived near Leeds or in Leeds. It pissed down rain the whole way. I remember going up the M1 and we're sitting in the back seat and we're just like freezing and shit. What the hell are we doing here, Deb? And then I remember her and I taking a walk the first night, just kind of out up and down the roads, all buttoned up and what have you, and seeing our breath. I'm like, well, we're here, man. We're here for a reason. Let's give her a go. And so obviously we did. Then you got to get used to the food, completely different than what we were used to. And, that was all right. I'll pretty much eat anything. And nowadays it's just like being anywhere in the world, all these fast food places. I'm not a huge fast food fan anymore, but back in the day, it would have been nice. We had the one McDonald's, but there was a hell of a London, which every time we went down that way, we always stop at McDonald's and grab a gunny sack full of burgers and stick them in the fridge when we got back home,
Yeah, I can imagine that your fridge was stacked full of that sort of thing and whatnot. But one thing I will say is that you can't beat an In-N-Out burger. I love that. When I came over a few years ago to ride and everything, I had an In-N-Out burger. And I absolutely loved that. So I can't eat anything else really. It's never the same.
No, they do a good job, and that's one of my favorites as well. Just kind of down the street here, so there's always a line around the place to go order up. But you get your burger and fries, how you like it. Little grilled onions on it works for me.
Oh, don't, you're making my stomach rumble already. But obviously, like you say, you go down to, if you're in London, like at Wimbledon or whatever like that, you used to go to that. So I know, again, BP said that you went to like the Hard Rock Cafe and places like that just to hang out as a group sort of thing, just to go get some more American lifestyle.
Oh yeah, we did totally. And here, let me show you a picture. I got to show you a picture on my wall of us and Johnny Carson. This was after we won. I forgot what we won at White City. So we all went to the Hard Rock. I don't know if you can. Oh, I got to switch this camera view, right? Or maybe I go like.
Go, that's it. Oh, right.
You cool. See that?
That's cool.
Yeah. John Kelly and Elf. And that was it. That was at the Hard Rock. I think we won a team cup or something there. And so we went over and let him know. He's like, what are you guys doing over here? So we let him know what happened. So him and Joyce DeWitt, it was her name, from Three's Company, another TV show. And they sent us over a bottle of champagne. And it was really cool. Say, hey, we got to have a picture with you, Johnny. So that's on my wall of shame there. And, but yeah, we knew a guy. Deb and I were just talking about him the other night when we would show up. We used to just like say, hey, we're here, man. And he'd slip us through, the line would be wrapped around the place and he'd slip us in there. Just waiting like 10 minutes. I'll get you a table all set up. So we were treated pretty well. His name is Francois. Okay. Yep. And, he used to get us all set up down there. Always got to see Francois when you come in. But that was one of our definitely our major stopping points right there at the Hard Rock.
Yeah. Because I can imagine they say probably packed out. Say if you know somebody, it always helps to know somebody to get into these sort of places. Yeah,
for sure. And we used to tear it up down there, man, and get the Michelob beer, good American beers, and which I don't know any better, anyways. But it was a familiar name, anyways.
Yeah, it just felt like home, things like that. Which is what you need when you're in a foreign country.
Exactly. You know, even if it's just for a couple hours, and we got to haul ass back to Hull again, another 5 hours away.
Yeah. But at least you had a full belly and everything to go back on, even though you got back at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Sure.
Yeah, but also it's sort of like in that sort of like 1980 seasons when you sort of started making the break onto the international scene with World Team Cup and Test Series and stuff like that. How was that for yourself when you first got that call to say that you were in the team?
Oh, it was bitching. It was bitching. It was the American team. I mean, like kind of the starting of it, and it was Bruce, Bobby, Scott, myself, Kelly, I think Ronnie Preston. I got a picture on the wall, Steve Gresham, and Shuey, of course. And I remember we used to meet down there at the where Bruce and Bobby were living. What was it called? The Dove House. They were living there. That was where we used to meet there, and we would meet sometimes after, or not on a race day or whatever. We'd be able to take the day off and go have a meeting, or we would just meet when we were all going to be down racing at Cradley or somewhere in the area, Coventry. We would just make it a point to get there early and go over to the Dove House and have little meetings. We got our Team USA jackets, our black jackets, which I still have. They just doesn't fit anymore, but to get the American flag on your chest with the Speedway team and embroidered on the back, it was like shit, man. I hit the big time. But it was really bitching to hang out with all the American boys when we would go to the racetrack. It was really like a big family because, of course, we're away from home, but we're all doing fairly well, and just to kind of get together, the camaraderie, and try to figure out what we're going to do, and kind of what the action plan is. And sometimes you just gotta go out there and see where the chips fall. But we had a good crew, good bunch of guys that all got along well, and we all were going pretty fast, and so that was what it was about. And you got to get together and figure out who rides best together. I like riding the outside, so pretty much whenever I rode, it was on the outside, either gate 3 or 4, and stay outside in the dirt. And Bruce could ride anywhere. I think Scott liked riding the inside a little bit. Of course, Schwartzy liked the inside every time, and that's why Bobby was so awesome to be paired up with. With Bruce winning Bruce and Bobby winning the pairs, and Bobby and myself winning the pairs. It was like a no-brainer because Bobby rode the inside, and Bruce and I would ride the outside. So it was good for all of us, and that's why I think one of the reasons why we had really good success, because there was no bickering as far as what gate you want to start from or what area of the track you wanted to ride on. It was just a given. We knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, that's good to have, because obviously, again, it helps with the team. Everyone can gel and everything, really. Like you say, because everyone knows that Bobby's king of the white line, and things like that. Maybe once or twice you might see him go around the outside, maybe. But other than that, you knew where he was going to ride. But like you say yourself, you could ride inside, you could ride outside. Same with Lance King, he could ride inside, outside. So yeah, it all worked out in the end, and that's probably why towards like the early '80s, where he started beating England a few times in the Test Series.
Yeah, I not knowing that we were ready for it, but as we started racing and doing well, I think people kind of opened their eyes and says, well, those Yanks, I mean, they do have something here. We better, they're a force to be reckoned with. And, I think we brought a different kind of racing and different kind of atmosphere to the track right from the get-go. Because we were so friendly with one another. I mean, we were just like best friends, and we are. I mean, but you get on the track and put your race face on. There's no friendship. It's a little bit different with the American team racing, because you're riding with your buddy, and you want to win, and you want the team to win. So you're always trying to help each other to have that outcome to end up on top.
Yeah, 100%. I've got a bit of footage that I can share with you from the 1980 World Team Cup qualifier from Kings Lynn. which should be a bit of fun to watch. I think it's Heat 1 I've got you with when you're against Michael Lee. And everything. The quality is unfortunately not the best, but it's good enough. You're coming off gate number 1, and Michael's on the outside. So, I mean, these sort of qualifier matches, they were absolutely handlebar to handlebar most of these races I've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. And the pairings were pretty consistent and pretty tight as far as that goes. With the American boys, we were on in those few years. There was, we did well. Yeah, it looks like I'm doing okay there. I'm surprised it hasn't rounded me up.
No, you're out in front. You're gone. You're gone.
Well, how about that? I'm riding with Michael as well. Always safe. And him and I kind of had a bit of the same style. We were kind of longer, lankier riders versus the norm. We're kind of maybe a little shorter. Yeah. But we, fit all of our tallness onto a motorcycle and stretch out. And I think Michael kind of sat back a little bit and hunched his back. I kind of got my butt back and hunched the handlebars they call that head down and ass up. And you can always see Michael when he's turning that throttle on, man. His right arm is just his elbows down because he can't turn the frickin' throttle anymore. He's got it on so much. No,
exactly. It's good. It's always good to watch these sort of things back though. And there you go. Just a bit of flavour there for you to sort of see that you winning the race. There you go.
Finally won one.
yeah, and especially around King's Lynn when that wasn't an easy track to ride.
Yeah, but you know what? I like King's Lynn, and I rode it quite a bit. Obviously, being close to Ipswich, I did quite well there most of the time, and always a lot of fun to get up there and go ride. And actually, I drove a Formula Ford car right near there, a place called Snetterton.
Yep, I know that.
So that's where I had my debut in a Formula Ford car.
Oh,
there at Snetterton. Yeah, I won the first freaking race. You can imagine that, man. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. But I got hooked up with Scholar Engineering, who used to build my engines. They also did Formula Ford cars. So I had said to the guys at the shop there, hey, if you're ever a chance, an opportunity for me to drive one of these, because car racing was also another passion of mine. And it was motorcycles and cars. Cars are obviously more expensive and a lot more to do as far as getting to the races and what have you, but always loved car racing. And so this opportunity came up. One of their team drivers for Brosley Homes was the sponsor of the car, and apparently the driver crashed and broke both of his ankles or broke both of his legs. Obviously, he went in head first. So like, hey, Siggy, this chance is here, man. You want it? I said, well, hell yes. I said, well, do I get to practice or anything? Like, oh yeah, we'll put together a banger for you, Formula Ford with just some parts and what have you, and we'll take that to Snetterton and we'll give you a day's practice. So I'm like, bitching right on. So we drove out there and got in the car and had an old coverall overall suit, and I think I borrowed Preben Ericsson's helmet because it was a full face with the visor and stuff on it, because all I had was goggles and a dirt bike helmet, and practiced. And I don't know, the first few laps or whatever, I spun out. They said, well, anyone that's any good, you got to come flat through these S turns, and because you got the long straightaway, and if you don't come flat through here, you're not going to have enough speed. So work my way. Finally, I could go wide open through these S's. And one time I got in a little too early, and what happens is you go through the turns, it makes it worse and worse and worse. And before you know it, I was spinning around. So I spun around at a 360. And unfortunately, what happened, I didn't push the clutch in. And so the motor ran backwards for a little bit until it did the 360, and I kept on going. But I bent a push rod.
Oh, no.
So yeah, they had to pull the top off of it, run back to Scholar, grab a new push rod so I can get some more laps in, and then did. And then they brought I think I still used that car for that the next day on a Sunday. and I won it. I was qualified third, so I was outside front row with 3 cars, and I fucking made the trap on them, and I won wire to wire, man. I was, oh my God, who was that? Yeah. And then actually, the other race I did was at Brands Hatch for the Ford Festival down there. They had like 300 entries or what have you, and I was on the American team with one of the well-knowns was Ross Cheever, Eddie Cheever's brother. So I raced Formula Fords with him, and I did pretty well. I didn't make the final for my own, made a mistake, idiot. I didn't crash, but anyways, it was really cool. It was really cool. And then as things went on, and then when I got hurt racing Speedway, that opportunity kind of went away. You know, I had a ride all lined up in Scotland for the next year, and, you know, forming the 2000 car, and with breaking my ankle and then losing a lot of the movement. You know what heel toe is when you get downshift, you got to kind of blip the throttle and then hit the brake at the same time. Well, I couldn't do that because of the ankle problem. I can't bend it that way anymore. So anyways, quit racing the Speedway, you know, because of the injury, and so the car racing went away, but it was definitely one of my passions, and all learned there, Snetterton, right near Kings Lynn.
Yeah, and it's awesome to hear that, because obviously I didn't know you even did that sort of thing. You know, obviously it's nice to hear that you had the chance to do it. You know, more than anything, and win a race, and your rookie race. You know, that's some achievement. You know, I think the Speedway must have helped a little bit.
Definitely. You know, any kind of racing background helps in any kind of other racing that you're going to go into. At least you know a little bit about the feelings. You know what your gut's going to do, and how many times you're going to have to go to the old outhouse to get it all sorted out, you know?
Yeah, because those nerves can be a bitch sometimes.
Oh yeah. But in the cars, it was just such a satisfying deal. And racing motorcycles versus car, you just think you're invincible in a car. As soon as you got 4 wheels on a cage around you, it's like, what can happen? Well, we know happen, and obviously does happen, but yeah, it was a huge thing for me to do, and to get the opportunity to do it. And I thank Scholar Engineering for that, because they made the opportunity happen for me.
Yeah, 100%. It's always good to dabble in other sports and just try. It makes you a bit more of an all-round sort of athlete and person who can ride and drive.
Yes, absolutely, and had a good time doing it.
Yeah, it's good. We'd love to hear that sort of thing. But go back to the Speedway. In 1981, you got transferred over to Ipswich, like you said, in an exchange. I think it was for Billy Sanders, who went to Hull. And also, I read somewhere that Ipswich had to fork out another 15 grand for you as well to come to Ipswich. I think it was as well, part of a whole mix and match deal between John Berry and Ian Thomas, I think it was. But obviously, like you said before, coming to Ipswich was more like home, closer to the beach. You know, what was your sort of like first impression of like being in the Ipswich team? Then was it a good impression you had?
Oh, absolutely. And to be the captain was even, you know, I'd never been a captain of any team, you know, let alone a British League Speedway team, and, you know, some young American Yahoo coming over there and you know, being a captain. So that was huge for me. I love the track, and like I already stated a bunch of times before, I love the town and the outskirts of town, and the friends that I met, and still talk to them quite often. You know, riding and you know, other kinds of riding, and like I said, bashing around in cars and playing some golf down around the local golf club. But you know, being real close to the track and having some good friends and being closer to other tracks, and the weather was nice down there. We had a few months where it was shorts and t-shirts, no rain. And, you know, like I said, you can get down to Felixstowe, and we used to water ski down there. One of the guys from Scholar owned a boat, and he water skied. So I'm like, shit, let's go, man. Cause I love water skiing. So we go out there and water ski in the ocean at one of the inlets or whatever. And then afterwards we get a big pile of shrimp, prawns, and newspaper, and sit down there, peel and eat, and just sit down and eat that afterwards and get a good feed on, and then, you know, take a 10-minute drive or a 15-minute drive, you're back home again. And it really felt like home for me, you know, and everything was kind of close, and, you know, loved the area. And then there again, you know, Jeremy, you got Billy was just down the street, you know, when Billy came back. You know, Cookie, when he was in the mix, he lived across the street with Matt Cottrell and his family, and Darren Fitch, my mechanic and my best buddy over there, just lived down the street. And Terry, I mean, we just had a huge, friendly crew that we used to hang out with and do a lot of stuff with at the races and off the track as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty active lifestyle. You know, like I said, jet skiing. You know, doing golf. You know, it's probably endless stuff you really did. You know, just feeling like a bunch of big kids, really, just having a good time.
Yeah, we used to jet ski down at Middleditch's place down there, down at Pool. I think Cookie jet ski. I forget. You know, there's so much stuff that's gone on, but I remember riding down there in the lake behind the Middleditch's house there. Me and Cookie out there ripping around, you know, and shit. Here's I got if you can see that up there on the wall.
Yep,
that's Cookie. I think that's when he was kind of in Sweden racing, doing the series over there. But yeah, it was good, and we made it that way. You know, we brought our own fun with us. But I'll tell you what, when it came time to put the race face on, it was definitely there.
Yeah, I can imagine, like, you still wanted to get well over each other, sort of thing. That's probably why the races you watch, look back now, I know the races between Kelly and Sean were quite good, because obviously they did want to get one over each other and things like that. You know, that's what made it entertaining to watch as fans.
Yeah, sure. You always have to have that, and you have, you know, people that like to root for Kelly or Sean or me or Bruce or Bobby or, you know, whatever. I think it just really pulled some people in the stands with on the British League. Anyways, and when we were there as a team, it kind of helped, you know, draw the people to us, because they could see that we're good guys. We're a lot of fun, but when we're there to race, we're there to race. Yeah, you know, we got to be pretty friendly with most of the teams: the Danish boys, the Poles, the English lads, the Swedish boys. For the most part, everyone got along fairly well. But, you know, there again, you know, when you're on the track, you have no friends, you know, no friends.
No, you don't. It's but no, it's good to hear all these sort of things. But also in 1981 was one of your sort of, again, another breakthrough year. You managed to qualify for the overseas final. Also managed to get through the overseas final to the Intercontinental final, which unfortunately was on another glorious wet night in Voyens, which unfortunately you just missed out on making Wembley, really, because I think you we managed to got like 1 point or 2 points from that meeting.
I can't remember, but I can tell you I do remember Voyens was always wet. Always wet for some reason. And yeah, I you know, didn't really ever I didn't have a lot of good meetings over there. Loved the place. It was beautiful and what have you, but it was always wet, and I don't know what it was. But yeah, that was a bummer. That was a bummer, being in the, you know, didn't make it. But then that way I knew next year I better cinch my bootstraps up and get with it. Otherwise, you know, why be over here if you're not going to make the big ones? Yeah.
And obviously, did you go to Wembley to watch the final then when Bruce won it?
Yes, we did. Yes.
Yeah, I can imagine you guys had a big party afterwards.
It was a heck of a race. It was a heck of a meeting, and so many people. And, you know, it was for an American to win it, and, you know, really be dicing with Ole that night was awesome. And I think Gunnarsson was right in there as well. But yeah, what a great night for BP and the family and all the American boys to, you know, get an American back up on that top box.
Yeah, and I can imagine it made you hungrier to get to that world final, because obviously 82 was the year it went to LA, and of course that probably gave yourself and all the other Americans a huge goal to say, right, our home one, let's all try and get there.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It was a must do. It was a must do. I would never have been able to forgive myself if I wouldn't have made the final in the hometown and the home track, although none of us have ridden on it before. But just be home, and, you know, all the friends and family that came to came to the races, all the different American boys that were there. I mean, I know I brought a couple bus loads, not me personally, but people that I work with and people at my dad's company, as well as, fans throughout all the different areas. And, the rest of the world were there, and the Americans, had a good shot to do it. And really, it worked out. I mean, Bruce, our left, they had awesome nights, man. And I would say they deserved to win it. And I got what I got. I got third, not too bad. Would have liked to have won for sure, or got second, but our Les and BP, they were on that night, man. And then all the controversy with Bruce and Kenny and all that. I mean, things could have changed and went a different way, obviously, but it didn't. I think the turnout was great for me. I mean, I was happy to be up on the box there with my buddy and our Les, just like another brother. I mean, all the Collins clan. I still talk to Phil, Phil Pismo, few 4 hours or 3.5 hours from here. He called me just the other day. Hey, Siggy, what's going on? Man, checking in with you and da-da-da-da-da. But really, really cool to hear from him. But Les was on, BP was on, and I think I deserved to get the third that night, and I wanted to get on that stagecoach. That's what I wanted to be a part of. So when I walked in there that day and saw that, I'm like, I gotta be there. And I was just getting over a broken ankle. 2 weeks prior to that, at the Golden Hammer at Cradley, me and Bobby came together, and my left foot got in between Bobby's bike and my clutch, and the clutch, right? And it flipped off. It fractured that little knot you have on the side of your ankle. Yeah. It fucker. So I had to haul ass home and had a screw put in there, and had to cut the boot and everything so I can, elastoplast and then put the boot on and then tape it all up and all that good stuff. So I was only maybe 7 or 8 days after that. It wasn't major surgery, luckily, because it wasn't broken all the way through. It was just fractured. But they put the screw in there, so I was able to, race about a week and a half later. So that was a little bit on my mind, but it didn't affect. I mean, once you get your helmet on and that motor started, you don't have any pain. It's all just out, try to get the win.
Yeah, and obviously, like I said, to get even on the podium, again, in your home world final is something that, most guys can't even do that in the Grand Prix nowadays, is make the top box in their own country and things like that. So, it's an extra bittersweet. And obviously, like I said, your best mate's world champion again. And then, of course, then you're thinking maybe 83 is my year sort of thing. You're always looking a little bit further ahead. But I can imagine, because I think I remember seeing on the video of the 82 final, all the fans saying, I heart Siggy and things like that in their purple banners and all that sort of thing they showed on the TV. And it's like, it's kind of cool that all your fans came out to watch you.
Yeah. And I kind of said that, hey, make some signs. And that I think CBS Sports was carrying it. I said, any banners you make, put CBS, because they're definitely going to show it on TV if it has their logo and it's their TV program. So I think that's why it said, I heart NBC and Siggy or something like that on there. And so, it did work. We got some airtime, but a lot of those people were from the couple coachfuls that my dad and myself and my wife kind of organized to take everyone down, my grandma and grandpa, my uncles and aunts, and just everyone. I mean, that was the night. I mean, that was the night that, still can't forget it. It was a good night.
Yeah. I can imagine it's going to be one of those sort of nights that just stick in the back of your mind. Like the first night you rode at somewhere like Costa Mesa when you were like 16 years old. That's going to be sort of like up there with those sort of best memories. But how did you find the track? Was it a good track for yourself?
I thought it was great. I thought it was a great track because you could ride inside or outside. Wasn't real rough. There was no big holes or ruts or anything. I think it rutted out kind of on the inside like it normally does at most tracks. And being a new track, there's no telling what's going to happen because it's, laid on top of a dirt running track already. So I'm sure they put plastic down, and then they got to put the DG over the top of it, get water it, pack it, water it. And I think the track really fared well. But it's similar to like Long Beach, that track, which I did very well at Long Beach as well. And, but shit, the Coliseum, man.
Yeah.
I mean, damn, that's the big time. And I got a bitchin' picture of my name. I think I was wearing body color #1 or something like that. And then my name up in lights on the big arches there at the Coliseum. It said Dennis Sigalos, riding #1 or whatever. I'm like, damn. I've only been there to watch concerts and watch some football games. But to race in that arena is, it's just like, oh, it's the best.
Yeah, I can imagine. Words can't describe like the feeling that you felt from all the fans, all the energy and everything, because obviously, it'd been great if it was a full house. Obviously it wasn't quite a full house, but still the atmosphere of like 50,000 people in such a big, vast arena like that, must have been amazing. Like a spine tingling moment.
It totally was, walking through the tunnel, from out in the parking lot or whatever, and you walk into the stadium under the tunnel and all. You're taking that walk, and you've seen it a million times when they play. They have big football games and stuff there, and the guys all walking through the tunnel. It's so memorable. Then you break out into the pit area, and the sun was out, and you smell fuel and the oil. It's like, okay, now it's time to get rocking and rolling. But yeah, what an atmosphere and what a place to be able to be on the podium that night.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the closest I get to that sort of thing, like the Wembley, the Coliseum, things like that, is going to Cardiff, and watching at Cardiff and being in the atmosphere at Cardiff. It's a huge buzz to be like that sort of thing. But of course, it's like BP said, it's not like a Wembley or like the Coliseum. It's never going to be like that. But it's the closest that I'll ever get in my lifetime.
I don't think there'll ever be another Wembley. Just that atmosphere, and there again, that stadium was so well known. And have that place packed like it was. I mean, I think there was 100,000 people or something there that night.
Yeah.
It was brilliant, and a brilliant night of racing, and had some great races going on. But yeah, I'm sure very memorable for BP. Well, it is for me too. And shit, I was riding there.
Yeah, but like I said before, it's your best mate. Your best mate. You only want the best for your mates. Things like that. In that sort of time.
Yeah, for sure.
But obviously, not long after that, you managed to sort of win the sort of like the World Final Revenge meeting at White City. I think it was like a couple of weeks later. It was the British Embassy Open you won,
right?
And everything. And what can you sort of remember of that? Was it sort of like a meeting that you thought, well, it's near enough the World Final, I can win this one?
Oh, for sure. You always want to go out there, and if it means anything to you, that's what you're going out there for, is a win. And I knew Hans was going to be a big factor. Hell of a rider. He's like a magician at arts. He just can make the track every single freaking time. It's like a fiend. And a list of others as well. But when you go to the racetrack, you're always there to win. And everything went good that day, and I got beat by, I don't know, it was a PC or something like that really put me into the runoff.
Well, I have footage of that race if you want to see it, so we can confirm this in a minute. It's I managed to pause it in that sort of place. I was literally gonna say that you rode really well, even beating Hans in the meeting. But I think it was your fourth race. I think it was, because you're on maximum points going into this ride. It's
right.
You're on gate #1 in this one.
And who was?
I think you got. I think it's maybe Larry Ross on gate #2, Vaclav Werner, and PC on the outside. Yeah, it's PC on the outside.
PC on the outside, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I recall.
Yeah, he just swooped around you in the first corner.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I could never get him rounded back up.
No.
And he's home. Love it.
Yeah. Did you used to like riding at White City then?
I did. We rode there quite a bit, and I did like riding there. You could get outside, depending upon the moisture in the track, but as you PC. I mean, PC got me around the outside, and now see we're kind of drifting out that way, kind of stay in the dirt and stay in a little more grip rather than right on the inside. But I'm just freaking chasing his ass. I guess I could see that slipping away. See that wind slipping away. Oh shit! Now I'm gonna have to have a run off with hands.
Yeah, because as I said, you beat Hands already in the race earlier and things like that, and you're thinking, yeah, I've got this in the bag, and then boom, PC makes one start, and he beats you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh shit. Okay, well, it's not over yet.
No.
Yeah. Bravo, PC. Bravo.
Yeah, because obviously then, like I said, it got to the runoff and things like that, and obviously at that time, I think I remember watching it that so you had the FIM really keeping your eye on that meeting and being there, because obviously what happened at the overseas final and things like that. I think you had something about, I don't know, a race. The BP decided to pull wheelies in. I don't know. It's a little race. But I think you might have been in that race. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's too vague.
Yeah, but I mean, besides all that sort of controversy and everything, I mean, yeah, then the FIM started to tighten everything up again, sort of thing, didn't they? By just sort of monitoring what was going on in the pits.
Yeah, it is what it is. It was what it was. I just knew that I needed to get through that round, as far as that one you're referring to. Now, as far as the at the embassy, my after I got beat there by PC, then obviously I had to run off with Hands, and I had beat him prior in the heat race, so he can be beat. Yeah. And there again, he made the trap on me, and he made a little bit of a mistake, and I was on the outside, and I was able to keep my momentum going, and ended up getting by him, and it was bitching. What a feeling, because it was a good ride. I mean, it was a good dice. We were neck and neck the whole time, and if I would have made a mistake, locked up or something, he probably would have got around me as well.
Yeah, and I've got the footage of that. I've just literally fast forward the meeting on a little bit, so you can sort of see the runoff itself in this bit here. Obviously, again, like I could say, come off gate number 1, so a bit of an inside advantage. You're probably thinking, I've got this now.
Yeah, but I don't know, White City, shit. I like the outside, man, and Hands are probably going, yeah, I don't know who won the draw or whatever, but I guess that's the way it was. He beat me. That was it. Yeah. Jets. Now I'm out running outside to try to find some grip out there. Keep things spooled up.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to watch, because obviously, you hunted him down into a mistake, and that little mistake just gave you that little bit of an edge. Totally,
and that's good hard racing. It was a good clean race, and that's what you hope from all of the riders, to do that. And it was
there's the little mistake there. That's the little mistake he made
right there. Yeah, just kind of parked it a little bit, and that was it. I just had the run on him. Pull it down on him a little bit, ride a little closer to the white line, but not so much to where you're kicking up dust and locking up.
Yeah, just let the thing run out wide and get a big old arc to the corners and things like that.
Yeah, you need to be fast down the straightaways. So the sooner you can get your wheels in line and keep all that momentum going, the better you're going to be. Coming in the next one, you just got to keep it rocking and rolling. But yeah, what a feeling to win that, and to win it the way that I did.
Yeah. And
again, because he was one of my guys I loved to beat, and I'm sure he loved to beat me as well.
Yeah, I can imagine. Mind you, I think that was a big old prize money on the line for that as well.
Yeah.
So, I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, $5,000.
Oh, biggest race in Speedway.
Yeah, it was awesome. Everybody was pleased about it. When Hands got together a couple years back, when I went to Czech Republic for the Golden Helmet for that was the 70th running.
Yeah.
So they invited me over, and he was over there as well. And Ollie and Jeremy and John Davis, and he was really bitching to catch up with those guys. And I brought my son over with me. So we had like 10 days over there ripping around, doing some stuff. But what a pleasure to see all those guys. And Hans and myself, we ended up staying at the same hotel because we had to leave early on a Monday morning, had to be at Prague airport early. So he says, well, I'm driving down by the airport and staying in this little place. We were going to stay right there in part of Beatsy, which, a couple hour drive. And then in the mornings, you never know what the traffic's going to be like. I didn't want to miss the flight. So I'm like, shit, Arden, come on, we'll load up and we're just going to haul ass and go to this hotel where Hans is staying. So we ended up meeting there. We had dinner and it was late. It might've been 11 o'clock at night by the time we got there after the Golden Helmet. And, but we had a nice dinner and a beer or something, then went to bed and then didn't see Hans that day or because we had to get up at different times and all that stuff. But it was really awesome to hang out with him and to chat with him about what he's doing and his family and, me and my family. And, we're still friends and, we're still a couple old timers that, just love life. And it was really bitching to see him for sure.
Yeah.
But that came up either. Or the one where I did the big wheelie and he laid on the track, hey, I knew what he was after it's all said and done. I try to do that wheelie that got hooked up in the middle there, which I've seen Bruce and Ole doing it just like that before. So I knew that part was there and the thing lifted and I don't think I ever touched him. I mean, it certainly moved out a little bit and he took the advantage and got me disqualified, but hey, why not eliminate your competitor while you can,
Especially because obviously 83 was a good year for yourself because you hit the ground running. Because I remember watching test matches from 83 where I think it was at Wimbledon. You got an 18-point maximum on a new bike. I think you said when you were talking on the interview and things like that. And you sort of like hit the ground running. It seemed like from what I could gather, it was Dennis's year. It was 83. If he was going to win the world championship, it would have been that year, sort of thing. And obviously, like you said, the Intercontinental final when you had that clash with Hans, you were again, I think, leading the field on 9 points again, maybe I think it was something like that. And then all of a sudden you had the wheelie and everything. And my personal opinion is I think Hans sort of laid it down, like you said, to eliminate your competitor. Because obviously where the referee would have been, he would have seen it like, oh, Dennis has lifted and gone straight across to hit Hans because he couldn't control the wheelie. Right.
But yeah, it wasn't like that at all because I made it, came down and, he could have rolled off. But, it is what it is. And then for him to sit up against the fence with his legs crossed, it just pissed me off. And I'm like, get up, man. I never touched you. Maybe I did a little bit, maybe, but it wasn't anything intentional. And he knew that. But he played the game right, and I was disappointed. And I got hell of an airtime for it. And I gave the referee this and this. And, I got a letter from the FIM and the AMA and got fined and all, but it was so worth it.
Yeah. I mean, for that sort of like minute to 90 seconds of airtime of you just going a bit crazy at the referee, for excluding you and things like that, it was worth it.
I'm not usually like that. I'm a pretty easygoing guy and, fair dude, if you will. But that pissed me off. My wife, she had to kind of calm my ass down, sit back in the pits. And the good thing was I was still going to qualify. I was still going to go through, and that was the objective. I certainly would have loved to win the meeting, but the objective was to transfer, get through that round on to the next.
Yeah, because then obviously the next round then would have been the world final itself at sunny Norden. I heard because when I had Lance on the show, he obviously spoke about that because you and Lance both qualified for the final, and he said it was a speedway track on the practice, and then on the Saturday or the Sunday, whenever it was a long track set up for Egon to win it.
Exactly, and even my first race, I had the gearing on that was for the practice, and it was so deep, and I was over geared.
Yeah,
I was way tall, and I just couldn't freaking break the back tire loose. But you know what? Good on them. I mean, they played the game, and Egon was on that day. Billy was on that day. I was really happy for Billy. I was really disappointed in my whole day. I just couldn't get the shit together for whatever reason. And, I was really hoping to do well. But, there again, yeah, you're 100% right. It was a different track on that Sunday. And I guess some people probably knew that, but I was maybe a little naive and didn't know any better. But didn't have a good day, but nonetheless, I gave it my best with what I had.
Yeah, like I said, do your best, because like I said earlier in this, but that was still like your year, because it was like everything seemed to be clicking up until the final. Obviously, then the final was a bit of a letdown, but again, just take it as an experience and say, okay, next year it's going to Gothenburg. It's going to be slick, and everything else. So again, probably preparations were then looking towards the World Final '84.
Yep, exactly. And then and then shit happened.
Yeah, but just before we touch on the incident and the injury and things like that, in that '83 season, in my notes I've got of you won obviously the Czech Golden Helmet, which still stands as the only American so far to still win it, which is great.
I can't believe it, man.
I mean, even the great Greg Hancock couldn't even win it, and that's saying something.
I don't even, not even in the same day or year or same page with Grin, as far as the talents that man has. And there he just lives 10 minutes from me as well. Mesa, 3 minutes from the Speedway track in Costa Mesa. So, but yeah, it was, that Norden thing wasn't meant to be. And, thought I'd do better. I did all the hard work and everything to make it there and try to keep things going. But the incident really kind of screwed me up.
Yeah, but like I say, the Golden Helmet was obviously another good highlight for yourself, and obviously I've got on here you won the Star of Anglia Championship as well, so managed to win something on your home track as well, which must have been great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, any event that you can win at your home track, it was just kind of the icing on the cake. But I had some great races, and I did pretty well. Maybe not as good as some, but better than some. So I'll take it. I didn't hurt myself too bad. I'm still able to walk and talk and be normal and have a good time and still and but my career racing motorcycles was second to none as far as I'm concerned. I really enjoyed myself as far as racing and traveling the world. I'm to get to see all of the places that we got to see in that handful of years, and loving racing and doing what you love doing and getting paid for it and seeing the world. It's like, wow, I wouldn't change it. Change it.
Oh no, I bet the old passport had a few stamps on it after the season was over.
Definitely, put those extra pages in there. Passport, and then it goes like an accordion thing, and every side, and even on the back cover, on the inside cover, all these stamps. These guys were just stamping anything they could. They finally had to get another one because it got to the point where, hey, you got to get a new passport because this is all filled up, and we can't have. Maybe I'll stamp your forehead instead of the passport and see how you like that.
If it gets you in, it gets you in.
Yeah, exactly right. But yeah, wouldn't change it. Wouldn't change it at all. Able still to walk and talk and have a normal life, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. But obviously, moving on to the '84 season, which was obviously the year that you broke your ankle and everything. Everything going up to that point must have been clicking again well for you. Again, all the preparation getting up to the sort of world final. Because I remember watching the test series of '84 when it was at Ipswich, and you dashed home to go get another bike because I think one of the bikes had seized up or something like that. You nipped back home to come back to the meeting.
Right. Yeah. Literally 5 minutes away is my house, So yeah, I forget what the instance was or what meeting it was, but we did do that for sure. Yeah. Sent Darren over to the house or whatever. And he knew where everything was. and go grab, anything for anyone as far as that goes at any time. The house is right down the road, or we could have gone to Billy's house as well, or Jeremy. Well,
you could have raided everyone's house on the way down just to find that one part, sort of thing.
Well, I should have been more thoughtful and grabbed a few parts from everyone's place that I went to, and I could have built a brand new bike.
yeah, at the track, ready for your next race. Away you went. Yeah.
That's the thing. Those front forks look familiar. Those mine. Oh no!
Yeah, all these different kind of mud guards and side covers and things like that from different riders.
Yeah, exactly, for sure.
Yeah, but obviously 84 was the year where you got transferred over to Wolverhampton when Wolverhampton were reopening, and things like that. So how come that move came about then? What did sort of spur John Barry to move you on?
You know what? To this day, I don't know, other than he wanted to, bring Cookie on board, and maybe there was some value in me with trades. If you're talking about football and how these guys trade this guy for that guy, and I'll give you a little bit extra, or we'll get first round next year or whatever. I think there was a lot to do with that, and JB wanted to maybe try to get a younger team going, or maybe he made some good money on, or maybe I was offered good money for the trade. As far as me goes, there was no more money. I mean, I didn't make an exorbitant amount of money racing like some guys did. I mean, I had a comfortable living, and I took some money home at the end of the day, but I wasn't real privy to all that. I know I was disappointed, when I got the call, because I had everything set up in Ipswich. I mean, that was my place. And then having to obviously take the drive to the Midlands more every day, it just put a lot more pressure as far as hours on the road and what have you. At least living at Ipswich, I would at least race at Ipswich one at least once a week.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is what it is. I went down there with the same thought that I came on board with Ipswich and got along good with the fans. I was never a Midlands kind of guy. Not that there's anything against that. Looking back on it, I probably should have moved down there to be more centrally located with everyone. But a lot of buddies that live down there, BP and Bobby and Lance and Rick Miller and as far as that goes, they were more centrally located. I didn't make the move as far as moving my house and what have you. So I just did the drive. But riding for Wolverhampton was bitching. I think someone had told me I only did like 14 or 17 meetings at Wolverhampton before I got injured. Yeah. And that year was kind of over for me. That was, it was at the qualifying round at Long Beach. So it was first part of the season. And it was a huge disappointment for me to get injured like that. And at the time, because, there again, it could have been my year. Yeah. Going good the past year and leading up to that, and more aware and, know more about my racing and, getting better and better and better with time. Just one of those screwed up nights that happened.
Yeah, because obviously you rode in the World Pairs final at Ullevi the year before in '83, so you had some sort of good knowledge of going to Gothenburg if you ever was going to get there, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think I had good races at Gothenburg. God, man, it's just so long ago; it's hard to remember. But I think I remember actually. It might have been after Norden. We drove down there and I won. It was all the same guys that were at the World Championship in Norden. I freaking cleaned house. I think I had a match that night, and it's like, shit. Why couldn't this been a day prior? One of those things. Yeah. Also, like the track. So, hey, you take the good with the bad. You take what you're dealt. You do the best you can. But I was extremely disappointed to get hurt in sort of my prime. And then coming back and then getting crashed the first night at Ipswich, the first night back racing. Can't recall who it was, but we got tangled up. I got my foot that I just got done getting healed up. got stuck in the back chain and the sprocket of the guy that was trying to pass me around the outside. And we both went through the fence. I'm like, that's it, man. I'm done.
Yeah.
And I just don't have the, when you start thinking about things and, you know, you could get injured and, you know, you start rolling off the throttle because for whatever reason. And I really wasn't at that point, but I could feel myself going down that path to where, you know, I got to think about later on in life. And Speedway could have been a lifelong career of mine. But with our family business, the Orange County Food Service and S&K Vending that my dad had, you know, built, and I worked for my dad the whole time during racing as well in the off season. I wasn't in Aussie, or even when I got back, whenever there was time, I was down there, you know, working and learning the business and what have you. And at some point, kept on kind of getting hounded from my dad, like, when are you going to stop playing? You're going to come back and you get settled down and get a real job and get a family going and that kind of thing. And with the injury and then coming back and crashing the first night back, it was like, shit, maybe now's the time.
Yeah.
And so, and then traveling, you know, back and forth and running 5 nights a week, six nights a week in England and over on the continent. It was a lot of work to prep and to get places and airports, and, you know, it was a passion. And then I think it got to the point where, you know, I started thinking about it.
Yeah, because we get to that point of just thinking about it too much. It kind of like then distracts you from doing what you want to do, you know, and things like that. And that's obviously, like you say, the time to stop, you know, because if you start overthinking everything, then, you know, like you say, you're going to get hurt again. And unfortunately, you did get hurt again, albeit not your fault, because obviously another rider trying to pass you or whatever he was trying to do.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and just things like that, you know. But I've got one more bit of footage I want to kind of share with you. It's a bit of a controversial moment. It's featuring a certain Kenny Carter, you know.
Oh,
you know,
we used to get along really well, Kenny and I, when I was living up in the north.
Yeah, I can imagine you did. Yeah. But this is from the first Test match of the '84 season against up at Swindon. I don't know if you remember much about this one.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I look down and look at Sigalos.
Yeah, that one. That one. I just wanted to know that. What was the thinking behind it? Was it because he was touching tapes? Because obviously that year was the year when you could either push him or get excluded, or break him and get excluded. So
you could not touch the tapes at this meeting, and they had excluded one of the American boys for touching the tapes. So this was like the next race afterwards.
Yeah,
and he touched the tapes. I'm like, okay, what the hell? Isn't he out? And so he does it again. Like, hey, what the hell?
Yeah,
I'm like, no, and you know, look at Sigalos. He messed up the whole case. You know, yeah. Well, Kenny, did you touch the tapes? Well, yeah, I did touch the tapes. Well, okay. You said the frame were broke on both sides and it was dragging him in the tapes. Well, it doesn't matter. Touch the tapes, and I was trying to get that point across because we got excluded the race prior, or a couple races prior, or whatever it was. And I'm like, hey, the rule is what the rule is.
Yeah, 100%.
Here who you are.
Yeah, because obviously then he goes back to the pits and everything. But I just really wondered what it was about, because obviously it's slightly before my time, so I've only seen the video of it. So I knew the rules at the time was like you could either touch them with some referees and get away with it and have like a warning, and then next time he got excluded. But then obviously 85 is when they brought in the rule where you touch the tapes, you're excluded. But that 84 year was the year of, you know, ifs, ands and buts, because I know Michael Lee fell to the rules a couple of times, I think, especially at Ipswich in that Test series.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, it was for sure. You touch the tapes, you're out, and he touched the tapes more than once, and I had, you know, hey, it's not right. I wasn't worrying about racing Kenny. I could care less. You know, the more the merrier as far as that goes. But you know, the rules are what the rules are, and he hit the tapes and he hit them twice, and so it was those deals, you know. Yeah. It's like I never hit hands, but I got excluded anyways. So hey, you take it like a man.
Yeah, absolutely. But the good thing was you won the rerun, so that's the main thing. That's the main important
Right.
thing. You won the rerun. But obviously, again, 85 was, let's say, the end of your Speedway career. But then a few years later, I did discuss this again with BP, was that you decided to get into a boat and start racing boats and things like that and become world champions at boats. So, you didn't become world champion in Speedway, but you managed to become a world powerboat champion. So tell us a bit about that then.
Yeah, I think Bruce and I are the only ones to ever be world champions in two different sports, especially two sports that are completely opposite of each other, in the water and one's on solid ground, But yeah, actually Bruce came up with the idea. Bruce did a race with a fellow countryman, Nigel Hook.
Yep.
He's originally from England, and he lives here now and has for years and years, but he got to drive this in this small A boat, little 26 single engine boat. And he was racing at the world championship or something, and forget where I was, but he called me and said, Siggy, man, we got to do something like this. We have to. Bruce's dad used to race boats. My dad used to race boats. That's how our families kind of got together, was knowing each other through boat racing back in the 60s with our dads. Like, well, fuck, okay, let's check it out, man. And so we talked to my dad. My dad was pretty much the driving force. We need some capital to build a boat. You just don't go down to the store and buy one of these boats. But Bruce had a name, and we got some sponsorship through Orange County Food Service that helped us out. And then Ocean Sprague, came on board and helped us out. And we built our first boat. It was a Wellcraft Scarab, 38 foot, and a traditional V bottom with no steps in it or anything like that. And our first race was a local race here at Dana Point. We finished the boat up the night before, and we stayed up for like 2 weeks straight over at our Archer Marine on Costa Mesa. Brought in a motorhome so we could stay the night right there. And the guys that were helping, Kevin and Dan and Sean and everyone that were all helping, when there was time to go to sleep or go take a nap, go out in the motorhome. So if we need you, we can bang on the door and you can come in and start working. So finished up the boat. The very next day we were down at Dana Point, put it in the water, and we raced, and we ended up beating the world champion down there. Our first race. It's like, oh, shit, this is kind of cool, man. and we built a 4-seater because my dad wanted to go for a ride. He figured, hey, let's all do it, So I was the throttleman and Bruce was the driver. And then the two back seats, they just kind of sat there and they were our mercy. I mean, whatever we wanted to do, they had to do. So there was so after the first race, my dad said, you guys are fucking nuts. And I don't want nothing to do with it anymore. I'm out. So we ended up, we pulled the back seats out to kind of lighten everything after that. We never took anyone racing again, but we took some movie stars and movie actors for rides on their shows, and like the Kathy Lee and Regis Philbin show. We did a good buddy of VP's, what the hell's his name? Ponch on Chips. He had a sports show. We did the MTV Sports with Gabrielle Reese. We took her for a ride in it, and we put the back seats in there so the camera and film crew could sit in the back when we were, doing some stuff. But we ended up winning the world championship our first year as well down in Key West. And we were even raced in a class above ours because there was no class for the boat that we had, really. We had to go in the class above. We weren't quite as fast, but we were a V bottom compared to a catamaran. And Key West was really, really rough. And the V bottoms handled the rough water better than the cats did. So we went out, it's a 100-mile race. We went out there and kicked their ass. And like looking, damn, first year, a couple Speedway motorcycle dirt heads coming out here and into the rich man sport and the high speed stuff. And I think our boat ran about 100 or 120. So it wasn't all that fast. Not like the last one we had was just under 150 miles an hour. But we did really well with that. We won 2 world championships with that boat. And And I think we won national championship with that boat. And then we built a 42-foot fountain. And that's where we broke the speed record. And we came, Bruce and I were both rookies of the year in the first boat. And because, you're co-rookie because there's two guys in the boat. Mm. You can't just do it with one guy. One guy drives and one guy throttles and watch the gauges and the drives and all that kind of nonsense. But we hit it off really well. I mean, people couldn't believe that a couple of yahoos just would come out here and, lay down some laps. We had great equipment, and we bought Vic Edelbrock's rig, his big Freightliner. So we had place to store an engine. We had all kinds of tools and toolboxes, a bit of a motorhome front, but it was a big Freightliner cab over with a sleeper. We used to haul the boat behind it. And we traveled the United States in that thing. We chased the series. And I think Bruce and I got 5 out of 6 world championships with 2 different boats. And then when we stopped racing together, maybe a year or 2 later, this other couple guys wanted me to drive or throttle their boat. So I think I ran 2 more years with them, and I got 1 more world championship out of that. Mm-hmm. And that was in a slower boat. Our fountain was really, really fast, man. Have you ever seen a picture of it?
No, I haven't. No.
Well, here, I'll do it again. So this is our first boat right here.
Oh, yeah.
You see that?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay. So that was our first one. See, we're D1. Mm-hmm. And then this here was our second boat. This was the almost 150 mile an hour boat here, a fountain. Yeah. This is the same boat, but with a different paint job on it. Mm. And that's how you want to fly them, just like that, nice and flat.
Yeah.
Hauling ass, man.
Nice.
And then this was the boat that I drove with another team, Ettore Squeegees. And that boat ran about 110 or so. There's my career.
Crash, yeah.
That's it right there. That's when I was 13 when I won my first main event at OCIR right there. I was 13 years old.
That's cool. I like that.
That's cool, huh? This one here, that's at San Bernardino. I don't know. Here's one. That's Shuey and me skateboard in Australia.
That's cool. I like that.
John's mom gave that to me, and it's upside down, but it's a skate ribbon that Sean won when he was in school and from skateboarding or something like that. And his mom, for some reason, put that in the picture frame, and she wanted me to have it.
Oh, that's cool.
So I thought that was kind of cool. And then there's another one of the boat, kind of messing around, and that was one of the Long Beach races there. Mike Faria, Shuey back here, Lance. That's probably one of the qualifying rounds. Whatever. Yeah. And then that's about it. Here's some more. Here's our rig.
All
that
right.
was our rig right there. 15.
Nice.
So, and then me on the dirt bike. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
Motocross, and that's from Ipswich. A little.
So
I don't got a lot of stuff. My dad's old water skis hanging up there. Old planks.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my here I got to show you one here. I know a lot of people have seen this, and this is one of my favorite. You're talking about the American team, the first one. That one there. The Kelly, Boogaloo, me, Gresham, BP, John Scott, RP, Scottry, and Shuey.
Nice.
And another picture of the first boat right there. And some flags.
Got your helmets all up there?
Well, I got my dad's. That's my dad's boat race helmet right there. His first one, minus the visor. And then that was my last helmet that I used. And this was my first helmet that I used here at 13 years old or what have you. And offshore helmets and stuff. Here's my God, I should have this thing out. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Here's my third place trophy.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, it's cool. I like that one because I've seen BP's big one and things like that. And I said to BP that it's one of my favourite trophies to see is that big old eagle on top of the world. But obviously, you and Les got the next size down sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then this is from the kids and the wife. This is my favorite.
Oh, that's
You're
nice.
the best. You're the best. Here I am. I'm the best. Here's another cool little montage or whatever.
Yeah. Nice.
All of us together.
Mm-hmm.
There's some motorcycles. I see my garage needs some tuning, man.
Yeah.
But bought this from BP. Was Connor and Ryan's practice bikes. I bought that several years ago. And this is my 450 here. Here's my alley find. Here's my alley find, my Honda 90. Yeah. And my son just bought that. It's like a moped.
Yeah.
So
yeah, very much a toys garage sort of thing with all those toys and all the memories. You know, it's great to see all that. You know, because sharing it around and giving that sort of nostalgia, sort of like everyone can see. You know, it's the Dennis Sigalos Hall of Fame sort of thing.
Yeah, my hall of shame, I call it.
But no, it's good to see because obviously, like you said, again, when you did the boat racing, your first race, you won that. So obviously, the first race wins are obviously something that you're good at, because obviously, like I said, the car racing, first race won, and the boat race, first race won.
Yeah, you know what? I looked at it like that, but the saying is, I'd rather be lucky than good any day.
Yeah, totally good, mate.
But we had some great times, and there again, those people, the God, who in the hell made a bit of a name? And we've been the Hall of Champions there with the APBA. I mean, Bobby and I are in the Guinness World Book of Champions for the pairs.
Yeah,
win that on the maximum. So I've got a few things out there.
Yeah, just lost the connection a little bit there, but it's all good. It's all good now. But anyway, Des, we must wrap this up, unfortunately, because it's getting late here for me, and all that sort of thing. But man, it's been great to have you on. I mean, just talking to you, it's one of the guys I wanted to get on originally when I first started. This was you and BP and people like that. So it's great to see it. And also, thanks for showing us around your little man cave / garage that you've got there. It's awesome to see it.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, no, thanks for having me on your show, and happy to do it again. If you want to do something again down the road, you know how to get a hold of me.
Yeah. I'll keep it on the old Facebook. I'll message you that way. It'd be a lot easier. But I just must do me little shout outs to things and everything. Thanks to everyone who's been watching tonight. Hopefully you've got a great memory or two about Siggy yourself and things like that, and hopefully all this stuff that Siggy and I have spoken about tonight has sort of rekindled that. And if you haven't seen Siggy ride, go search him on YouTube. There's plenty of races on YouTube you can watch him at and things like that. But please subscribe to our channel on the podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everything. We're all over that. And obviously we've got so many other back episodes to watch and things like that and listen to. But thank you for tonight, Dennis. And hopefully we'll do it again sometime.
Cheers, mate. Nice meeting you, Neil.
No worries. Later.